a while. I know we spoke in the build-up. I think one of the things he was quite critical about was him changing coaches and, questioning whether that was the right move. And, I think he might have even said he could be cutting corners. I think that's one of the quotes he said, but he didn't go into detail what you meant. So just want to start off by talking about, before for the actual fight, just what you saw of him as a fighter under Ben Davison.
Okay. So first of all, there's one thing I make clear. Before the fight, I said this should be a walk in the park. This should be easy for AJ. Reason being is because he's boxed him twice, he's used him as his sparring partner, he knows what's in front of him. And we saw that in the fight itself, how he carried himself. All of a sudden, everybody's thinking, oh my God, AJ, the penny's dropped. No, the penny's not dropped. He knew what he had in front of him. So that was expected. Anything less, then there was an issue, thinking, wow, what's going on here? And I know, I've boxed sparring partners, but the previous sparring partner before. And so once you know the measure of man in front of you, you know you can do certain things, you can't do certain things. Would I give credit to Ben? No, I won't give credit to Ben for that, because this is AJ. AJ's done this. So again, as he cutting corners, I still believe in that. And you know what? The gamble worked, because if Otto could bring something different than what he's brought to in the two previous fights in sparring, then the input and the knowledge that Ben would have seen the input and the knowledge that Ben would have given AJ. But I do think that, what about AJ's previous experiences with the trainers he's been with? He's picking things up left, right, and centre. As I've said, I'm not into fighters chopping and changing coaches, because for me, you've got to get familiarity, you've got to get belief, you've got to get trust, and again, I do believe he's cutting corners. So,
and those are the words of Johnny Nelson as he critiques Anthony Joshua's performance against Otto Wallin. He does not give credit to Ben Davison for being an additive to the camp. He states that Anthony Joshua was supposed to do that to Otto Wallin. He sparred with him, and therefore you know your sparring partners. Therefore, you know the limitations of the guy that's in front of you. So no, nothing's changed. He's not impressed. Ben Davison did not do anything spectacular or different. And AJ is not proven to be back in Johnny Nelson's eyes. And let me counterpunch. I agree with some of that. And this is some of the stuff that I agree with. I do agree that a lot of people praise trainers based on the outcome. Okay? Let me give you some examples. Manny Robles was praised when Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua. Now no one ever talks about Manny Robles. Even though Manny Robles is an accomplished trainer, even though he sacrifices a lot for his fighters. He let Andy stay with him when Andy was pretty much broke and homeless. A good overall good guy. I think he trains and coaches the right instruction to his fighters to do certain things. But understand, when the fighter wins, the trainer wins. Okay? The same with Malik Scott. If Wilder would have knocked out Joseph Parker, Malik Scott would be looked at one of the trainers of the year probably. And this man only fought once this year, and he only fought once last year. But people were looking at Malik Scott. He's got some other fighters. He's got some momentum, especially when you got a fighter or a top fighter in your grasp or in your team. Okay, I think the same goes in this situation. Ben Davison is picking up buzz simply because Ben Davison was the trainer that was local, and it was convenient for Anthony Joshua to train at his facility, and it was also another convenient thing for him to train Anthony Joshua through or in this particular fight. Okay, so, had he lost, people would have been saying Ben Davison sucks, or it was a conspiracy against AJ because Ben Davison is friends with Tyson Fury and all that stuff. But no, the fact of the matter is, the trainers, when those fighters lose, they get thrown under the bus like everything else. Everybody starts complaining about everything and pointing the fingers at everyone. That's how it happens. When Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, they blamed the zone. What? You blamed the zone For your fighter getting beat? No, see, that's what happens. People are looking for things and reasons, really excuses on why they lost or their shortcomings. Okay, in this case, AJ won, so everybody's like, "Oh, he's arrived," and I heard that. I'm like, "No, he's supposed to do that," and not because he sparred Otto Eileen before. Okay, I don't think that. I think, or fought him before in the amateurs. I don't think that at all. I think because Otto Eileen didn't bring anything new to the table. Just like Johnny Nelson said. However, I don't think that Otto Eileen was ever going to beat AJ because Otto Eileen didn't have anything that AJ to harm AJ or to worry. I never thought that. I never thought that at all. But understand this. It cuts both ways when you're dealing with sparring partners, okay? Lou Del Valle was the first person to knock down Roy Jones Jr. The first person. I mean, the Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot Roy Jones Jr., okay? That guy that he was so good that they had to give him a loss for knocking a guy out, that type of guy, okay? And Lou Del Valle sparred him. And Roy said it himself. He doesn't like to sparring partner or fight sparring partners because they know too much of what you have to offer. So if anything, Otto Eileen being a sparring partner ain't really a bad thing. It's a good thing because he knows everything about the fighter. He knows his habits. He knows what he's accustomed to doing, everything. Because you sparred him. As a matter of fact, your sparring partner knows that fighter more than he knows a common opponent that you fight anyway, simply because if you only fought someone once, depending on how long that fight lasts, if it's 10 rounds or 12 rounds or 8 rounds. You only know that fighter for that particular time period if he beats you or whatever. You don't know everything that fighter's accustomed to doing unless you pick up on what that fighter did while you were fighting them, okay? But when a sparring partner, you fight someone again and again, he knows everything about you. Let's say AJ fighting Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter knows enough and more about AJ than someone like Robert Helenius does. Why? Because he's been in the ring longer. He's experienced the things that AJ does longer, just like Otto Eileen did. Okay, so if they've sparred with each other and they fought each other in the amateurs, that means that fighter is familiar with what that other fighter also has to possess. See, it's not just one-sided, and I think that's what Johnny Nelson failed to realize. Okay, because Otto Eileen knew AJ. I think he just thought AJ's going to come in like he did with Helenius. But understand, with Helenius, he wasn't prepared for someone that tall. He wasn't prepared for someone like Helenius. He was prepared for Dillian White, which that fight didn't happen. And that's what happens with a lot of these mishaps with AJ. The opponents change, and that messes up everyone's game plan on how they approach a fight, because it's a different fighter. So, yeah. But him saying, well, hey, I'm interested in him doing, is he cutting corners? He's still cutting corners. I still believe he's yes. Well, in this case, I think also with confidence-wise, Ben Davison, he's a good motivator. Look what he did to Tyson Fury. Look what he did with Tyson Fury. He helped him lose all that weight and get back into the ring, and now the rest is history, and he's fighting for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, and that has to be contributed to Ben Davison's help and aid. Okay, so I'll say that. Okay, however, what I did not like, as far as cutting corners, yeah, AJ's cutting corners because it is about relationship. And you don't go 2 fights with a guy this year and then go with another guy based on convenience. I thought that was weird. But he won, nobody cares, right? But I'll say this. One thing I didn't like about Ben Davison is the fact that he refuses to answer questions that are concrete, that are transparent questions that he's being asked and he refuses to answer, which I don't like that. Those, like, when you have or you're dedicating yourself to a fighter, the thing is, why didn't you answer it? If you knew you were going to train someone because you have good chemistry with that person and you have nothing against that person or against anyone else, or you don't have favoritism towards another fighter, right? You would easily answer, yeah, I will train him for Tyson Fury. Okay, and he didn't. And that's what always rose a red flag for me, okay, when dealing with Ben Davison. I'm like, okay, well, why wouldn't you? Just say, no, I wouldn't based on this. You know what I'm saying? Give you an example. Oscar De La Hoya asked Floyd Mayweather Sr. to train him for his son, and his father was like, no. He didn't say, oh, that fight ain't going to happen and this, that, and the other. I ain't going to review. No. He was put in a position, he was asked a question, and he gave an answer. That's what Ben Davison should do. I don't like the indecisive stuff because it shows me maybe him trying to avoid the question. He may have problems answering the question. Okay? So everybody thinking that Ben Davison, oh, well, he's great for AJ. Well, maybe not if he can't even explain or answer if he's going to train him or not. So, if it's about confidence, you don't need anyone for confidence that doesn't know if he's going to train you for maybe one of the biggest fights of somebody's career. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Johnny Nelson stating that nothing changed with AJ and Ben Davison didn't bring anything different to the table for AJ. He's supposed to have done that to Otto Vailene. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!